Welcome to the Boomer Briefing Podcast, where we help you solve a critical business issue in 20 minutes or less. I'm your host, Jon Hubbard, shareholder here at Boomer Consulting, and with me today is our president, Sandra Wiley. Hi, Sandra.
Hey, John, how are you doing today?
Doing well. Thanks for being here. So we have a topic that I know you are extremely passionate about. It's a topic you've been living for a couple decades now, and it's a topic you are now training firms around the country on, and that is how to develop consultants in their firm. You know, with all this talk about moving to advisory, I think what gets lost sometimes is we actually need to be developing some of our staff into consultants so they can solve bigger and better issues for their clients. So speak to us a little bit, Sandra, about why it's so important firms think about developing consultants.
Well, I feel like, John, sometimes we're beating a dead horse, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we're talking and talking and talking. That's kind of like the trusted advisor. This profession has been talking about it forever, but those firms that have actually moved in that direction are few. Same thing with consulting. We talk about it when any of us go into a firm and we say, you have got to be moving more to consulting. We usually see one of two things. Either it's, oh my gosh, we're so busy, there's no way we can take on any more than we're doing today. Or we're already doing that. We're already consulting. Everything's good. Well, in both cases, they are wrong, right? In both cases, in the one where we're so busy, you get busy doing the things you want to do. If something really exciting came along tomorrow and it was something important, you would find time to do it. They don't, for some reason, they don't see as building a consulting group as important enough to make it a priority yet. So I think that's one thing that's frustrating for me, and I think it's frustrating for most people out there, and particularly it's frustrating for the people sitting in the firm who want to learn how to be more front facing with their clients and give them more value, and yet they're relegated to doing the work, right? Just go back to your desk and just do the work. Someday we will have this for you, but not today. That's really frustrating. And then the firms that they think they're already doing it. What they're really doing is maybe some advising work, but it is with the partners who have been there 40 years, and they know their clients so well. And that is really all they do. But they're not teaching the next generation to do that. And they really believe that the only reason that they can be a consultant is because they have 40 years under their belt. We know that is not true. We know that if you teach differently, if you give them different ways of having conversations with people, they can be a consultant really fast. And it doesn't take 40 years. It can take just a few years, right? But they just have to have the right training and the right backing from their partners and from the leadership of the firm.
And that backing from the partners, that backing from the leadership is so critical. You know, Sandra, many years ago, you created the P3 Leadership Academy here. I'm now one of the facilitators of that as well. And there's nothing more disheartening for me than hearing those young up-and-comers that are smart, bright, great with clients to be deflated because they're being told, well, you need 5 to 7 years of technical experience before you even really start to get in front of the client. And I think that relates to this topic as well. So I think you're spot on. So as you work with firms on this, what are some of the strategies? What are some of the solutions that they're trying to figure out to develop more consultants in their firm?
So I think when you look at their strategy overall, one of the things that the firms that are doing it well, or at least moving the needle in that direction, is they are really understanding who their best clients are and where their best opportunities are. So they're really doing some analysis first, which is the part of this whole deal that most CPA firms love. They love the analysis part, which I'm glad that they do, because you really do have to figure out who are my segments going to be, and what are my service lines going to be, and where can I build that consulting realm, right? Because it isn't every client that you're going to consult with. It's really going to be your A clients, the really top dog clients that have issues that you can help them with, right? Those are the ones you want to look for. So the analysis is the first thing. The second thing that they're doing is they're developing collaborative teams within each one of those segments or service lines that are really, they're taking that as to heart that we are responsible for those clients and for that service or for that niche. And they are becoming thought leaders, but they're not doing it alone. That's the other thing that I think, John, I am really getting tuned in on when I'm thinking about what's happening and what's not happening in a firm. I really think that the clients that are doing well are the ones that understand they don't have to do it by themselves anymore. For a long time in this profession, it was all about being kind of sole proprietor. Even if you were in a large firm, you still had all your book of business. It was all about you. And consulting is not like that. Consulting is, these are clients that I work with, but so does John, and so does Ariana, and so does Jim. And we are the consultants for this client, not me, we. And I think the firms that are doing well are doing that, but then they're giving people training from the day they walk in the door, not waiting 3 to 5 years, but the minute they walk in the door, they start talking about what public accounting is about, how to bring value to clients, how clients and the relationship you build with them has to start from the day you start working with them. So I think those are the firms that are really stepping up to the plate. Here's the really sad part. I think that if you really look percentage wise of the firms that are really doing that well, you might get 5 to 10% of the overall firms in the United States that are doing that. There is a lot of work to do, and there is a lot of mindset changes to happen before it'll really work. So
Yeah, and that shows there's also a lot of opportunity for growth in our profession. And two things I just want to highlight that you said that I think are brilliant. One is consulting is a team sport, right? Which is, a huge mindset shift for us. And the second thing is, I love what you started with of anchor this to an overall strategy focus on niches and segments and where you want to grow, because consulting is such a broad term. Well, what in the world does that actually mean? And where firms can often start is in one segment or in one piece of their client base. And I think that gives people focus and makes that idea around developing consultants in your firm a lot more approachable. So great advice, Sandra. So if firms actually did this where they, as soon as they brought in new people, started to introduce them to the concepts around consulting, introduce them to kind of the mix of services and how the firm is looking to grow and where their role is, and then ultimately start to develop consultants, what kind of benefits are you seeing firms have?
you know, there are not many that are doing it. So it's a small segment that we're looking at. When you look at it, you look at the
Mhm.
pie and there's a small little slice that's doing it. But those firms that are doing it, what we really see happening is this fire that is being lit in the firm and understanding of what's really happening. I talked to a really great firm that went through our certified consultant training, and the managing partner said, Sandra, what the best thing that happened after we really started implementing this and started taking it to the masses rather than just having, one or two of us do this, is that everybody's more excited about what we do. And I said, tell me about that a little bit. And he's like, he said, they all were like, oh, I work at an accounting firm. Now they say, I work with clients and we help them get better. He said the whole narrative has changed about what they do. And I think that's the thing that we're going to see change the most when you decide, the audience decides, yep, that is the direction we need to go. And yes, we need to change our mindset. And yes, we need more consultants. And yes, we need more consulting training and all of that. What you will see is that the entire firm will light up. The motivation level will go high. The excitement about what they do and who they work with is going to go through the roof. And so that part of it, I think, is hard to write about. It's hard to talk about. It's hard to put into numbers, but that's the piece that's going to make our profession amazing. Got to do it.
Right. And then we've seen firms, and as we've coached them through this, whether they've been through our certified consultant training program or just kind of a one-on-one coaching, um, relationship, is oftentimes the services they end up taking to market to their best clients actually become the biggest ticket service, right? So you had a
Yeah.
big client already, you start doing, more consulting with them, and that consulting piece is actually larger than the previous relationship. And I think that's really interesting to see. And I think that surprises a lot of people once that happens. But, obviously, consulting is not relegated to just the accounting profession. And there are a lot of other professions that are developing consultants right now, arguably that could end up competing with us in the future or even competing with us today. How
Right.
do you see other organizations outside of the accounting profession approaching this topic?
We've been looking at that because we wanted, when we built the certified consultant training, we wanted to make sure that we were building it in a way that would be sustainable and something that would really make an impact on firms. So we went to other firms outside, other companies, and looked at what they did, and we kind of helped shape that into what we built. And it is interesting. I would say the first thing is what I've already said before. They start from the day they hire. So they profile people that they're hiring. And then they say, what the profile that you have really fits better with a technical person, or your profile really fits with a consultant, or your profile fits with emerging technologies and innovation. And they actually track them from the time they start working into kind of a career path. The career path for consultants, they really look for people who have that extroverted, and I don't want to say that's a bad word. That's a terrible word. Erase that word. But
Mm.
it's that ability to want to develop relationships with people. That doesn't mean you're extroverted or introverted. It just means you love people. And so if you have that and you have a natural curiosity and you love to learn new things and you like to really talk to a client and go deep with them, those are the people that make great consultants. So I would say, first of all, profile people coming in. And if if you got to start right now with the stable of people you have now, profile them. Try to start figuring out and stop worrying about, oh, well, the profile of Sally, who just started last week, and the profile of Jim, who has been here for 5 years. The reality is Sally has a better profile for being a consultant than Jim. But Jim's been here for 5 years and he's put in the time, and we probably should send him to training. We should give him that ability to do that. Stop that right now. Stop that. Look for the people that will be most successful and put them on that track. Jim may very well be on a track to technical expert in tax, and he'll be amazing. And Sally could be a great consultant. Why would you hold her back? And if you do hold her back, the most likely scenario is she'll simply find something else very soon because she won't be happy with what she's doing. So I guess that would be what I would tell people, is really start taking a look at your people and really understand where their best unique fit is in the firm and with your model going forward, and put them there right now.
Yep, that's perfect. So there's probably a lot of people listening to this that this is not their first time hearing about this topic, and they know, okay, I need to do something. I'm an influencer in my profession or in my firm, whether I'm a partner, managing partner, and they want to do something. What are some recommended next steps you have for them?
So I think the first thing I would do is get with your HR director and your learning and development person, and really start mapping out the profiles and the kind of the career paths that you might have. I'll go back to the three that I talked about: a technical expert, consultant, or relationship person, and then maybe innovation technology person. And if you put people into those categories, now take a look at your consultant track and start thinking, how can we get them upskilled faster than we've ever thought before? And you will have to, partners out there, you will have to talk to yourself up here. And every time you say to yourself, oh, but that's not how I learned it. Oh, we're probably putting them in a position where they're never going to be able to be successful because they don't know enough. Stop it. Just make yourself say, stop it. I'm not going there. We're going to give this a try. And if you give them the proper training and the proper mentoring, you will see that they will grow faster than you ever would have or could have, because of new information we have now. It has nothing to do with smart, has to do with we now have good information. So that's where I would start. I would start with that. And I would go out there. You do not have to build this yourself. It's there. Boomer has spent a ton of time. Jon, you and I have spent a ton of time building out this consultant training program. And it is a perfect way for firms to get started. And so I would just say, you don't have to do this by yourself, but that's a good place to start.
Right. Nope, that's great. So, Sandra, I know you write and post on this topic frequently out there on the internet. So, where can people find you on social media if they wanted to read some of this content or even just send you a message?
Well, as you might imagine, please reach out in LinkedIn. I am there. I am there almost every day. Twitter, I am there all the time. So LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. Facebook is a little bit more personal, but I still see a lot of my clients there, and I love that. I'm a relationship person, so I like to get to know you, not just from a business standpoint, but from a personal standpoint. And then obviously email. And anybody can reach out to me by email. Sandra.Wiley@boomer.com. And I would love to interact with all of you. So thank you, Jon, for asking.
Great. Yes. And Sandra, as always, it's a pleasure speaking with you on these topics. I'm sure we could go on for another 20 minutes, but we got to keep it a little succinct here. So thank you for joining us today. And for those listeners out there, just a reminder, we release a new episode of the podcast every Tuesday. So please stay tuned for the next episode. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.